All right, so today we're tackling a really big question. How do you take a successful traditional application and get it ready for the future? We're going to break down exactly what a cloud-native refactor on Azure looks like, step by step.
You know, most successful apps out there, they started life as a monolith. Just think of it like this single, self-contained machine where every single part, the user interface, the business logic, the data, it's all bolted together in one big package. And hey, let's be real, this approach is often what gets a business off the ground. It's solid, and it's relatively simple to get started with.
But that brings us to the big question, right? The very architecture that gave you all that success, is it actually ready for what's coming next? Can it handle the constant demand for new features, massive scale, and the kind of reliability that modern users just expect?
And that right there brings us to what we call the monolith's dilemma. See, that thing that made it so strong in the first place, that single, tightly coupled codebase, well, as you grow, it eventually starts to become a real weakness.
And this comparison just lays it all out perfectly. Think about it. With a monolith, you want to change one tiny thing. You have to redeploy the whole shebang. That means slow, painful releases. And if just one part of your app gets busy, like the payment system, you have to scale everything, even the parts that are just sitting there. And because it's all one big tangle, a single bug could bring the whole thing crashing down. The cloud-native world just flips this whole thing on its head, giving you independent deployments, the ability to scale only what you need, and resilience built in from the ground up.
Okay, so what's the answer here? It's all about embracing what we call the cloud-native promise. And look, this isn't just about lifting and shifting to the cloud. Nope. It's about building for the cloud so you can truly unlock that agility, resilience, and massive scalability. And the core idea here is actually pretty simple, at least on paper. We want to stop thinking about our app as one giant block of code. The goal is to carefully, piece by piece, break it down into a bunch of smaller, independent services that can all talk to each other. You've probably heard the buzzword microservices.
Okay, that sounds amazing, but it also sounds kind of terrifying, right? I mean, a big bang rewrite? It's risky, it's expensive, and honestly, it usually fails. So yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to use a much smarter, safer, and more gradual approach.
And this quote just perfectly captures the idea. It's a strategy called the strangler fig pattern. Just picture a new vine wrapping itself around an old tree. Bit by bit, that vine gets stronger and stronger, until eventually the old tree inside just isn't even needed anymore. That is exactly what we're going to do with our code.
So how does it work? It breaks down into these 4 really clear steps. Step 1, you pick just one little piece of your app to replace, maybe the user profile page. Step 2, you build that feature out as a brand new, totally separate microservice. Step 3, this is the magic part. You start sending just the traffic for that one feature over to your new service, while everything else keeps humming along on the old monolith. And finally, step 4, you just do it again with another feature, slowly and safely replacing the old application with new modern services.
All right, we've got the how. Now let's talk about the with what. Let's dive into the core Azure services that make up your refactoring toolkit and make this all possible.
So for running these new microservices, you've basically got 2 main paths on Azure. On one hand, you have Azure Kubernetes Service, or AKS. Think of this like getting all the parts to build a high-performance race car. You have total control over every single knob and dial, which is amazing if you need that level of control, but yeah, it's more complex. On the other hand, there's Azure App Service. This is more like getting a really, really nice car straight from the factory. It just works. You get to focus on driving, or in this case, your code, and Azure handles a ton of the engine work for you. Both are fantastic options.
Okay, but it's not just about where the code runs, right? You need a few other key ingredients. Managed databases in Azure are a lifesaver. They handle all the hard stuff like scaling and backups for you. And this is super important. You'll need messaging services like Azure Service Bus or Event Grid. Think of these as the postal service between your microservices, letting them talk to each other without being directly connected. That's what being decoupled really means.
I get it. This whole process can sound super risky, and that's a totally fair feeling. So let's really dig into how you manage that risk and do this with complete confidence.
Here's the most important thing to remember. You are in complete control of the rollout. This isn't like the old days of flipping a switch and just hoping for the best. You're in the driver's seat the entire time.
And one of the coolest ways you do that is with something called traffic splitting. So when your new service is ready, you don't throw all your users at it. No way.
You can start by sending just, say, 10% of your traffic there, while the other 90% are still happily using the old, stable system. This lets you watch, learn, and gain confidence before you go all in.
And that's not all. You've got this whole safety net of tools. Feature flags are awesome. They let you ship new code that's basically off by default. Then you can flip it on for certain people whenever you're ready without doing another big deployment. And staged releases just formalize that process, letting you slowly ramp up who sees the new stuff. It is all about minimizing risk.
Okay, so where do you actually start with all this? Let's wrap this up with a super simple, actionable roadmap. Think of it as a template for your very first steps. It's really just 3 phases. Phase 1, assess and plan. Look at your monolith and find that one perfect, low-risk feature to be your first target. Phase 2, pilot. You build that first service and deploy it using all those safety tools we just talked about. And phase 3, scale and iterate. You take what you learned from that first one and you just do it again. You get faster and smarter with each one.
And one last thing to keep in mind, and this is really important. This isn't some project with a start and a finish line. It's a journey of continuous improvement. It's more of a cultural shift, really, a new way of thinking about building great software one piece at a time.
So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. Your monolith was the strong foundation that got you where you are today. It did its job, and it did it beautifully. The only question now is, what amazing new things are you going to build next?